bless the one who blesses. Come all of you, come all of us, and bless the one who blesses. Do-do-do, Blessed is the blessed one. Blessed is the giver of blessings. Blessed in this moment now and every now to come. Blessed is the blessed one. Blessed is the giver of blessings. Blessed in this moment now and every now to come. Come all of you, come all of us, and bless the one who blesses. Come all of you, come all of us, and bless the one who blesses. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. Come all of you, come all of us, and bless the one who blesses. Come all of you, come all of us, and bless the one who blesses. Do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do-do,
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed Le'olam va'ed Yala la 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 Yala la la la
הנה מה טוב ומנעים שברחים גם יחד. 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 How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this stage. How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this stage. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שברחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שברחים גם יחד. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this stage. How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this stage. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שברחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שברחים גם יחד. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום. שלום עליכם, סלאם עליכום.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Tomorrow morning, Mateo, who sitting here in our front row will read of a ladder reaching up to the heavens where angels move up and down. This occurs in a dream that Jacob has before he becomes the father of the Jewish people. He witnesses God tell him that his ancestors will be as plentiful as the dust on the earth or the stars in the sky. When he wakens from his dream, Jacob says, God was in this place and I didn't know. How often in our weeks do we stop, simply stop, to notice that the place we're in, the moment that we're in, is special or sacred? Shabbat reminds us each week to dedicate a moment, an hour, a day, to specifically notice that we are in a sacred space, sanctifying sacred time. Tonight, we have the opportunity to do so together. I'm Rabbi Ilana Nemetoff-Bressler. I'm joined by Rabbi Michael Friedman and Rabbi Zach Pleasant. We have Malin, Mike, and Yusef, right?
And David.
And who?
David.
And David. And we have Bruce and Chris. We have Stephanie in the back. We have Lester. We have Tim. We are so grateful to have all of them. And even more so, we're so grateful to have each of you. We are grateful to have you here in our sanctuary. We're grateful to have those of you joining us via the live stream. And whether this is your first time, your 100th time, or your 1,000th time joining us for the Shabbat, you have always belonged here. And someone whose belonging we look forward to celebrating tonight and tomorrow is Mateo Krasin. So, Mateo, I'm going to invite you up to light our Shabbat candles, because you will take your place among us as an adult in the Jewish people tomorrow. So tonight, we want to honor you by lighting our Shabbat candles. The blessing can be found on page 120. Technology works until it doesn't. So, Mateo, we're going to pretend we lit the candles. That was a beautiful job. Oh, we're good.
It's always worth bringing more light into this space, bringing light into darkness. So, the old-fashioned way, Mateo. Beautiful. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner On Wednesday night, I went to a concert of live music for the first time in quite some time. I went with old friends from high school, and this was a band that we had seen many, many, many times. But I heard something in their music differently this time when I was seeing them. There's one of their albums tells the story of a young girl rebelling against her religious Catholic upbringing. And in one of their songs, she says facetiously, "Our psalms are sing-along songs." She would much rather be in the music world, in the rock and roll world, than in church with her family. And I heard this line from the song, and I said, but that's Kabbalat Shabbat. Our psalms are sing-along songs. So as we turn to the words of Psalm 95 and then Psalm 96, beginning on page 130, let these psalms be our sing-along songs. Open your voices, fill this space with music as we sing together to welcome Shabbat in. Let us sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God a new song. Guy, lie, la, lie, lie, la, lie, lie, lie. Guy, lie, la, lie, lie, la, lie. Guy, lie, la, lie, lie, la, lie, lie, lie. Guy, lie, la, lie, lie, la, lie. Guy, lie, la, lie, lie, la, lie. Let's turn around and let in Adonai, Navialet sur Yishei, Nekad mafanav v'toda, Bizmirot nari alo, Bizmirot nari alo. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai. Yai lai la lai, yai la lai. Yai lai la lai, yai la lai, 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 lai. Yai lai la lai, lai, la lai. Yai lai la lai, lai, la lai. Let us sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God a new song. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai la lai, lai, lai. Yai lai lai, yai la lai. Yai lai lai, 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 lai. Yai lai lai, lai, la lai. Yai lai lai, lai, la lai.
You have two options for Psalm 96. The next psalm, either just the next page 131, or if you want the English words as well, they're on page 648. In the middle of the page, it's entitled Shir Chadash. The modern Hebrew writer, Ahad Ha'am, said, more than the Jewish people have kept Shabbat, Shabbat has kept the Jewish people. What he meant by that is that throughout the generations, we haven't always been so scrupulous about all the rules and all the observances, even though we have this impression that our grandparents and great-grandparents were. But that's not the point. The point is the fact that we, the Jewish people, the Jewish community, have a time each week, this time, to gather together, to come as friends, as neighbors, as partners, be together and sing together and celebrate together, that has kept us together. L'cha Dodi, we welcome the Shabbat Beloved, pages 138 and 139, verses 1, 2, 5, and then we will rise and face the entrance of our sanctuary for the 9th verse.
L'cha Dodi, Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad Yishmiyanu el ha'miuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad Hashem u'tiferet v'lefilah L'cha Dodi likrat kala Likrat Shabbat Mechulel Elchad Yihi Mekol HaBeracha Verosh Mikedem Le'esuvah Sof Ma'aseh V'machshavah Tzrilah L'cha Dodi Likrat Kala Shalom Ateret Ba'ala Gam Besimcha Uvtzola Toch Emunei Am Segula Boi Chala L'cha Dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat Mekabela L'cha Dodi likrat kala B'nei Shabbat Mekabela L'cha Dodi likrat kala
All this beautiful music was basically preparation to re-enter the ongoing conversation that each of us maintains with God, and that God makes sure to maintain with each of us. Page 146, Baruch Hu, with the call and response, we step back into that conversation.
Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Baruch et Adonai. You may be seated. We are going to turn now to the words of Ahavat Olam, which I believe are on page 148.
150.
150. Ahavat Olam is not a piece of liturgy that we typically do here at Temple Israel, but we're going to do it tonight for a couple of different reasons. One, Ahavat Olam is a setting that is all about love. Traditionally, when we chant Shema, immediately before Shema, we sing Ahavat Olam about love. Immediately after Shema, we sing V'ahavta about love. So we bring as much love into this room as we need. We want to send to others in this space, others at home, and we need to receive as well. To me, love is something that there is no limit to how much we want, how much we need, how much we can give, or how much we can receive. So this melody is written specifically to be catchy so that you can all join in and sing and bring these words of love into being so we can all feel enveloped in that love. We're going to sing as a nigun with just Yai Lai Lai at first, so hopefully you guys can catch on. Sounds like this. Yai Lai Lai, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Yai Lai Lai Lai, Yai Lai Lai Lai, Yai Lai Lai, Yai Lai Lai, Yai Lai 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 Lai, Yai Lai Lai Lai. 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Vishinantam levanecha vidibarta bam beshivtecha beveitecha uvlechtecha vaderech uvshochbecha uvkumecha ukshartam leot al yadecha vehayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha Uvisharecha leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem lelohim Ani Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem emet.
A little bit later in this evening's service, I'll have some more words, a lot more words, I should say, to share on the topic of anti-Semitism in the United States. But for now, as we approach Mi Chamocha on page 158, Mi Chamocha is our song of freedom that we sang as we transition from oppression into the limitless possibilities of the future. What I would want us to hold in our hearts and in our souls and in our hands and in our minds on this evening is that even in recognition of everything that's going on in our Jewish world, that the Jewish people today, here in the United States, in Israel, and most everywhere, enjoy wonderful opportunity and freedom and prosperity, perhaps greater than we have ever known. So, with that in mind, let's join together. Page 158. Page 162. God said, the people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat for all time, as a mark of the covenant, a sign for all time between God and us. Page 162 for Shamru.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת.
As Rabbi Friedman said before Baruch, a prayer service is an opportunity for a conversation between us and God. And the Amidah, the central standing prayer of our service, is that set part of our service that we do no matter what service it is. No matter what service you go to in the year, you'll always witness the Amidah. The Amidah, I like to think of it in two parts. There's the part that we all collectively engage in conversation with God, and there's a part where we each individually engage in conversation. It's a reminder that we, as Jews, are never alone in our conversation with God. We're always surrounded, whether we do it out loud or in our hearts. So we begin tonight, as we do almost every Shabbat, out loud in our communal conversation, and then we'll continue into our own personal conversation with God. Page 164. We rise in body or in spirit.
Adonai sefatai tifach ufi agim tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, צומח נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל HaKadosh.
We now have that moment for our own individual conversations, using the words in our book or those in your heart, whether standing or sitting. We invite you to take your own moment for personal prayer.
The words of the poet Yehuda Halevi say, "Where might I go to find you, God? Your place is hidden, yet where would I not go to find you? Your glory fills the universe." Every time I read this poem, I think of the story of Jacob that Mateo will read tomorrow morning, waking up from his dream and saying, "God was in this place, and I did not know." Sorry. Yana emtzacha mekomcha na'ele v'ne'elam ve'ana lo emtzacha kevodcha malei olam. דרשתי קרבתך בכל ליבי, קראתיך וצאתי לקראתך, לקראתי מצאתיך.
When we pray in community and we exist in community, we also ask for healing in community. And tonight we want to lift up the names of those who have been made known to our congregational family: Marta Adams, Molly Anderson Diker, Eva Cooper, Frida Easton, Steve Elliott, Louise Friedman, Maurice Friedman, Rhoda Friedland, Jackie Fuchs, Lanny Gans, Lauren Hope Gottschalk, Jeff Helfand, David Hidalgo, Phyllis Kamansky, Lauren Levy, Sheldon Manspizer, Don Matthews, Richard Mort, Barbara Nash, Stephen Newworth, Alan Nevis, Carol Randall, Robbie Rajano, Deborah Lynn Ross, Stan Stern, Esther Stone, Joan Wetzler, Moshe Yaakov Ben Yocheved, Henya Fetterman. If there's someone you're thinking of in need of healing, I invite you to share their names aloud at this time. If you're on the live stream and you're thinking of someone in need of healing, I invite you to share their name out loud and lift it up. And we take all of those names, those you've said aloud and those you've said in your heart, all of those in need of healing. We turn to page 371 in the middle and pray together.
I'm not even going to ask for a show of hands because I know every single hand would be up. Every single one of us knows someone who has said, or has said ourselves, if my chosen political candidate does not win this election, I'm moving to Canada. Does anyone know someone who actually has? You do? One person, Steph. Okay. Okay, out of all of us, one person. Because of the political situation in the United States, not just New Zealand. Okay, well, that's even farther away. Wow. Okay, so a few of us know people who've left because they have concern for the political direction of our country. I don't know anybody, even though people seem to be claiming it all the time. I do know some people, however, who have claimed citizenship in European Union nations. Germany offers citizenship to anyone who can prove that they were deprived citizenship because of racial or religious discrimination between 1933 and 1945. Some other nations do also. Spain and Portugal offer citizenship to those who can prove that they are descendants of Sephardic Jews who were kicked out centuries ago. And there are some American Jews who are taking advantages of this citizenship opportunity and claiming citizenship in Germany, in Poland, in Spain as a what if, as a just in case, seeing Europe as a possible place to go if things get really bad here. Now, it's strange to me that Jews would consider seeking safety in Europe, of all places. It's especially strange, not just because of our relative safety and security here in the United States, but because any of us could go to JFK any night, get on a plane, land at Ben Gurion in Tel Aviv, and declare our citizenship in the state of Israel. So it's strange to me on a number of levels. But it brings up the question that many in the Jewish world have asked. Are we American Jews, seemingly secure, seemingly prosperous, really fooling ourselves? Are we actually living in some sequel version of Germany in the 1930s? I answer that question with a resounding no. And I will explain. But I will tell you that it is a question that I am haunted by. How would we know when to get out? Is it like the frog in water, where the heat is turned up little by little by little, and all of a sudden the frog finds itself boiled? The ADL's Center on Extremism made, I think, a very important point. It said one of the successes of American Jews in the second half of the 20th century is that we made it completely taboo, impossible, to express anti-Semitic thoughts or words in public. If you were an anti-Semite looking to get your message out there, you couldn't get yourself published, you couldn't get yourself on TV, you couldn't get yourself into a bookstore or on a newsstand. Our world is different now. What changed? Well, first of all, social media and the internet, where everyone and anyone can publish their own thoughts at any time. You don't need an intermediary. And as we know from congressional testimony from Mark Zuckerberg and others, they claim, we're not a publisher, we're just a platform. Second, anti-Semitism has been given legitimacy by those in power. We've seen it time and time again. Anti-Semitism, therefore, has been given social legitimacy by folks like Kanye and Kyrie. And when the former president of the United States, who's the leading candidate for the presidency in 2024 also, dines with a notorious anti-Semite, he gives anti-Semitism legitimacy in our nation. Make no mistake about it. He's an individual who has refused to renounce anti-Semitism in the past. We all know that he claimed there were good people on both sides in Charlottesville. We know the whole history. But Trump was finally denounced by some of his longtime supporters, at least on this issue. First, it was Jews in the Republican Party, and then, after a pause, it was some of the top leadership of the Republican Party, McConnell, McCarthy, and others. It even caused an echo across the other side of the aisle, where this morning, President Biden had to hold a press conference to say the Holocaust actually happened. And to say otherwise is not acceptable in our nation. I am heartened by these developments. Of course, not by Trump dining with an anti-Semite, but by folks drawing the line. Politicians at the highest echelons of power drawing the line. Because the way it worked in the 1930s in Germany is that anti-Semitism was first legitimized throughout society. Not just in that decade, but for centuries before that in Germany. There was already a rich broth of anti-Semitism in German and European society. We know that. And then those who came to power were the most violent anti-Semites in history, and they codified anti-Semitism into law. So if you ask me, what are the two things I'm looking for? How will I know when it's time to get out? Number one, it's the legitimation of social anti-Semitism. And second, it's the entrance of anti-Semitism into the highest echelons of political power and the enshrinement of anti-Semitism and discrimination into law. It needs to be said that anti-Semitism is present on both sides of the political spectrum. On the right, it's often easy for us to identify. It's a physical threat, often, that comes from the right. Squirrel Hill, the Tree of Life synagogue, or the threat in New Jersey just a few weeks ago, or Nick Fuentes, who spews hate and advocates for a white Christian nation, which by definition does not include us. On the left, anti-Semitism is more difficult to identify. It often takes the form of challenging the legitimacy of Jewish voice, Jewish standing, and Jewish privilege. Sometimes that's because of Israel, when we're denied a voice because of a link to Israel and to Zionism. And let me be clear about this too. Anti-Zionism is equivalent to anti-Semitism. I don't believe the two can be separated. Do we live in Germany in the 1930s? No. But I do believe that we can use this period of time to figure out what it might be like. What are the warning signs? What's the canary in our very lush coal mine? What are we looking for? What are we listening for? To know if we're still safe, or to know if we have to find shelter elsewhere. We all can draw the line, both socially and politically. We have a very powerful voice, the Jewish community, and each of us. So let's use it. Let's use it now. Let's use it in the future. Let's use it before it's too late. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May we all be safe. Amen.
We turn to the words of Aleinu on page 586. In body or spirit, we rise. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו משתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד
You may be seated. As always, as we gather in celebration, we gather in hope, and we also gather in memory. We keep the memory of those whom we have loved and lost alive within us and beside us. They, for us, are these Shabbat candles lighting the path forward. And so we recognize on this Shabbat that as a Temple Israel community, we are observing Shiva, the first 7 days, or Shloshim, the first 30 days after the passing of Bobby Silverstein, father of Mark and Stephanie, grandfather of Cyrus and Chloe, husband of Lynn, father of Evan and Christy, grandfather of Bailey and Jacob, of Charles Ohlenberg, husband of Elizabeth, of Dr. Herrick Cohen, husband of the late Ellen, father of Lauren and Mark Blitzer, of Sherry and Gary Korn, and Karen and Jonathan Bilzen, grandfather of Jordan, Evan, Molly, Jamie, Andrew, Barry, Emily, Nikki, Rachel, Allie, and Olivia, and Frank Della Posta, father-in-law of Mike Kennan. If there are others here who are in the period of Shiva or Shloshim, the first 7 or 30 days after a loss, and you'd like to add a name to those we've just read, we invite you to do so now. We are also observing the Yartzeit, the anniversary of the passing of the following members of our Temple Israel family: Gloria Aaron, David Blatt, Alexander Dorfman, Helen Gillum, and Ralph Gillum. Rose Goldberg, Gloria Brodsky Goldberg, Abby Goldenberg, Ruth Harris, Abraham Langer, Lillian Montag, Lawrence Ravitch, Jeffrey Satkin, Ira Schneider, Leonard Schinbaum, Howard Siegel, Gail Rose Soskin, Leonard Stern, Matthew Venner, Alan Warshawski, Natalie Yedwab, and Leah Yudkovitz. If there are any others here observing Yartzeit, the anniversary of a loss, and you'd like to add a name, we invite you to do so at this time. And so we invite anyone here who's in a period of mourning, Shiva or Shloshim or Yartzeit, to please rise, embody, or elevate your soul in some other way and remain standing. And now, in sympathy and fellowship, we all rise with you for these words of Mourner's Kaddish, page 598. Page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulomei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shalom rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mramav, v'yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen.
May the Holy One of Blessing, who creates harmony in the heavens above, bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all humanity. And we say together,
Amen.
Ose shalom bimroma, uyase shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
Please be seated. We have so many wonderful events coming up in the next couple of weeks. Not this week, but the week after. We have latkes and vodkas on the 13th, and for the women's group. And for the men's group, we have Maccabee axe throwing on the 14th. And on the 16th, we have our pre-Hanukkah Shabbat. You can come and stay for dinner, so don't forget to sign up for that. And then on the 18th, we have our Hanukkah extravaganza with our brisket showdown. So don't forget to sign up for that. And the fun just keeps happening.
it's Hanukkah all month long,
It's Hanukkah all month long.
as you can see.
We are so glad that you are with us. We hope you sign up for all those events. And we are also so excited that Mateo will become bar mitzvah tomorrow. So we're going to invite him up tonight again.
Come on
to
here and
lead
join
us in
us.
Kiddush and Motzi.
Just get the microphone. One
To
sec.
celebrate Shabbat. You stay down here.
We're on page 123.
Okay. So, we're just going to read here. Ready?
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, barei peri hagafen.
Amen. Take a sip. We can do the rest of it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher letziat mitzrayim, kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat Lechaim.
We invite you to have a little sip with us outside just following the service. And for Motzi,
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
well done, Mateo. Look forward to you with us on the bima. Here's a little bit of reading that. Here, wait.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.